Oh, goodness gracious. I was astonished when I saw how much I'd spent on this. I was thinking, well, what is the one item that I might overspend on, that I go a little bit overboard with, and I'm kind of obsessed with? Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I hope that you're well. As you can see, I remain in my flat because the weather continues to be a bit sucky to record in. At the moment, we're in the sort of the melty, squashy, kind of slushy phase of winter, so it's super gross. And it's really icy, so it's very treacherous. So if I go outside and record and I'm not paying attention, I may well fall over again, which is quite painful, and I'd rather not do that. So for today's video, I was wondering what I could do that would be kind of interesting, entertaining, with a few like visual things to kind of keep you guys engaged and entertained. And as luck would have it, one of my long-time regular subscribers reached out to me privately and suggested that I make a video about the price of being a woman. So this might be quite interesting for you guys, but also for me, because I have no idea how much I've been spending on this whole kind of transition journey type thing. So I thought it would be quite fun to make a little spreadsheet and figure out how much has this actually cost me? Financially, of course. I mean, psychologically, there's a whole other question there, but let's just focus on the finances for now. So the things that I'm going to cover are some of my medical bills, but I'm also going to be covering some of the other incidental costs around cosmetics and that sort of thing. Obviously, I did a lot of stuff before I started transitioning. We're just going to talk about that period from transition forwards. So I'm not going to count any costs from like more than 2 years ago, because if any of you have been watching my video, I recently celebrated my 2-year anniversary. Hooray for me. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the psychologist. This is the person that I saw right at the start of the journey, so I could get this thing. This is the signed letter or certificate or whatever one you call it. It's called the opinion of the psychologist, and basically this states that I am transgender. Getting this cost me about 500 zloty, and of course I'm going to be providing like other currencies in this breakdown, but I'm going to be using zloty because of course this is the currency that I'm spending money in. It makes sense for me to be using this because that's how my spends break down. So this cost me 500 to get this, but I also spent an additional 300 zloty on a follow-up consultation with another therapist, another psychologist. I have been seeing other counselors since then, but these are part of my work's employee assistance program and don't cost me a single grosh, so that's good news. After I saw the psychologist, I then went off to get the blood work done, and as you can see, there is a very thick wedge of paperwork here because I had to get my blood tested at the start, and then after the first 3 months, then after 6 months of starting HRT, then after 12 months, and then again after another 12 months. So there are several tests in here, and I'm quite happy with my blood tests but not only do they show that generally speaking I'm relatively healthy, it also shows that my estrogen levels have been around the female range since about 6 months onwards, and my testosterone levels are basically been nuked as well. So I'm delighted with this. The testosterone stuff my endocrinologist is less happy with, but there you go. So this blood work in total has cost me about 1,454 zloty, which is reasonable. The initial cost was more than I expected. It was about 400 zlotys for the first battery of tests that I took, which seemed astronomical. As an aside, I do actually have private healthcare coverage through my work, but they don't cover my transition and they don't cover blood tests for spurious stuff like, going to an endocrinologist to get medication. So that's why I'm going down the private route with this. Now I needed to get the psychologist's opinion and the blood work so then I could go to the endocrinologist and get them to basically give me the drugs, for want of a better way of putting it. And here are all of the prescriptions, the results of the visits to those endocrinologists, or to that endocrinologist, should I say. And once again, you can see there's quite a lot there. I saw them obviously right at the very start of the journey, then after 3 months, then after 6 months, then after a year, then after 2 years. And I will see her again sometime in, I'm going to say maybe September, October, something like that this year. It's a really pleasant service. It's really good. And as you can see, I've got a wedge of documents from her. How much has the endocrinologist visits been? So when I first started seeing her, it cost me 350 zlotys per appointment. It's now up to 390. So in total, I have spent 1,790 zloty on the endocrinologist visits, which seems like a lot, but at the same time, I think it's good to be getting these regular checkups because it does make me feel a little bit more assured that I'm healthy and everything's going well. And also, she's very good at answering questions if ever I have any. Which brings me to the medications, of course. Now, I've talked a little bit about the meds, I think, on my channel before, of course. You know, it's quite a major part of the whole transitional sort of experience. Well, let's just break down exactly what I'm on at the moment. First of all, I am on Finaspir. This is a type of spironolactum. I can't pronounce this word correctly, but basically Spiro. And what this does is reduce the testosterone in my body. I did start off on one tablet, so 100 milligrams per day, and then that went up to 200 milligrams last year, and now I'm down to 100 again because, as I said before, my testosterone levels are quite low and I don't need to be taking so many of these pills. So basically one of these boxes is 1 month's worth of medications for me. Next I will talk about this little box in here. I have 6 patches, and these patches are the way that I get estradiol into my system. This is basically the estrogen kind of replacement, and it's one of the 2 feminizing hormones that I take. 1 box for me right now, 6 patches, represents a week's worth of medications because I own 6 patches a week. That's 2 times 3. So I currently have 3 patches on my thigh, and I will change that on Tuesday evening, and that's how I've been basically living my life. I started off on 1 patch per time, so 2 patches per week, and then that went up to 4 patches per week, and now I'm on 3, and I'm really enjoying the benefits of that, as you can imagine. The other form of medication I'm on is progesterone, and what does this do to my body? Stuff. The actual science and the evidence for progesterone is not exactly in. There was a recent study which showed that progesterone improved breast growth, so that's kind of what I'm hoping that it will do. I've been on this for about a year now, 1 tablet per day, so there are 30 capsules in this box, so this is about a month's worth of medication here. And how much does the medication cost me? On average, because as I was saying, the intake has been up and down across my entire journey over the last 2 years, but so far, so I think I've spent something like 3,184 zloty on medication, which actually isn't that bad. It basically around about 80 zlotys per month, which I would say is well within my budget, and I'm more than happy to spend that much on these medications. So after medications, I'm going to talk about makeup. And if you have been watching my channel for a while, you will know that I initially started off relatively skeptical about makeup, and I have learned to embrace it. I talk about makeup in a separate video, and my general baseline kind of makeup hasn't really changed. I use a color corrector because my nose gets quite red. I use concealer around my mouth because I still have a little bit of shadow. I'm going to talk about laser in a moment, but even though I'm quite happy with the results of the laser, there's still a fair amount, as you can see, of shadow there in the morning, even after I've shaved. So I want to conceal that with some concealer and then put some fairly heavy foundation over the top. Not too heavy because I don't want to lose that sort of authentic real glow, but as I've said before, I use Tia as my foundation and I'm generally quite happy with that. The only addition to my makeup over the last few months is lipstick. I've been experimenting with that, and currently I am using an Inglot product. This is a Polish brand, I think, and it's quite cheap. This shade is called... Jesus, I can't read this. No, that's the type. It's called Vivid Rose. That's what it's called. So I have a lipstick and I have a lip liner as well. So I use these 2 things in combination with each other. And I'm really happy with how that leaves my lips looking. And how much have I spent on makeup? I keep forgetting to say what the actual cost is. So on makeup, it's a lot. Even though I've only been using it for about, I'm going to say about 18 months or so. I've spent 2,080 zloty on makeup so far, including the last item that I bought, a 200 zloty mascara by Chanel. I decided to push the boat out a little bit, but it's really good. It's really good, you guys. Get the Chanel eyeliner. It's awesome. And if you are listening, Chanel people, yes, I do accept commission. Next up on my list is skincare. So makeup is one thing, but as they say, makeup is your skin enhanced. And so I do try to have a pretty good skincare routine because I try to keep, I want to keep my skin looking nice and clean and fresh and young and all that sort of thing. So what do I use in the mornings? I use a cleanser. It's a cleansing soap and I can't remember the brand because the packaging's long gone and I'm kind of using this up slowly but surely. But otherwise we use a foaming cleanser. In the evening, we will double cleanse. So I've been using this Easy Peasy oil cleanser. This is actually really good for removing things like makeup. So I need to use an oil cleanser in the evening to clean that off. And then I'll have some foaming cleanser. What is this? This is, oh goodness, it's PDRN Centella Bubble Cleanser. Caroline is the one that goes and like sources all of the skincare stuff. I rely and trust her research. I'm aware of the PDRN craze at the moment, so having that as the skincare stuff, I don't know. You can tell me if you have come across the PDRN stuff, if you're using it and if you found it useful yourself. I think it's a little bit of a marketing gimmick, but that's just me. I'm not an expert in this field. Right, yeah, so also I use in the mornings and evenings a toner. I use the Anwar Heart Leaf 77%. I like this especially because I still have to shave in the morning, as I said, so this is a nice soothing toner that I can use in the morning after I've shaved. It kind of calms down my face. And I also use this Centella, an ampule, after I've used this in the morning because again it just kind of reduces a lot of the effects, the rash or whatever after shaving. So this is quite nice. I found this to be quite a good combination for me. Do I need both of these things? I don't know. I think I could probably get away with just the toner, but I like this as well because I am very bougie. What can I say? In the mornings as well, I will use a SPF. So I use this one. This is Beauty of Joseon. This is a really good one. I really like this. And in the evening, I will also use a eye cream. This is the Tier one. I'm not necessarily sold on it. Again, it seems a little bit sort of gimmicky because it has this kind of application system where it sort of comes out and it's like a ballpoint pen type thing. It's okay, I guess. There must be better ones out there. I'm just using it because Carol bought it and she didn't want to use it anymore, so she gave it to me. And I also use a Stura face cream in the evening. This is really, really good. I found this to be particularly useful after I've been for laser. It calms down my skin really, really well. And I think I'm kind of holding on to it because of that post-laser effect. Is it the best night cream out there? I don't know, but I'm sold on this completely. I really like this. But how much do I spend on skincare, I hear you ask? So I actually added it all up, going through my bank account statements, and I'd spent something like 3,000 watts on skincare, but Carolina and I generally split skincare 50-50. So I'm gonna say I've spent 1,517 zloty on skincare, which is actually not that bad, given how much value I get from these products and how I feel it's left my skin looking pretty good. I think that's a pretty good amount to pay. I'm happy with that figure. I don't feel that's too much. I think that's around about right. So speaking of value for money, oh goodness gracious. So I was astonished when I saw how much I'd spent on this. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is manicures and pedicures. So I talk about this in my ranking video and I say that this is something that I love because it really does elevate my mood. It gives me a boost. I just love that sort of pampering process of getting a manicure done. But I also said that I haven't been able to afford to go to get a manicure for a while because I just can't afford it. I do my nails. Carolina helped me do my nails. I think it's okay. How much have I spent on manicures and pedicures? Guys, I've spent 3,890 zloty on manicures and pedicures in the last 12 months. That is a lot. I've actually spent more on manicures and pedicures than anything else in these categories, which is wild. And I think it does justify my decision to stop going for manicures regularly. I used to go once a month. I cannot afford to do that anymore. I think looking at that, that's almost 4,000 zloty. That's 2,000 zloty a year. That's crazy. I think for special occasions, I will save it for then. But as a regular kind of bit of self-care, I think I'm going to have to drop the manicures. As much as I love them and as much as I love my manicurist, I cannot justify spending that much. No way. I also want to talk about laser and waxing. So I regularly go and get my eyebrows done, which isn't that expensive. It's about 59 zlotys, give or take, for one session of eyebrow waxing, but it's kind of hit and miss on the quality. It depends on the waxer. There's one person there who's really, really good and does a really nice job of the shaping, and she doesn't leave me too damaged and broken afterwards. And there's another person who I have to say, last time I went, I had a massive bit of damage on my eyelid, and it took about 2 weeks for it to properly heal. You might remember I appeared on a video and I had this red kind of like mark on my eye, and that was why. And so I do love the effect, and that's all good, but I don't know. Again, it's something that I'm like, I can tweeze some of the hairs out, so I don't need to go as regularly as I used to. I did once get my arms waxed, which I really love the effect of, but I actually have a depilator, which I'm going to use as the symbol for laser and waxing in my accumulation video of things. So you can see that here being added to the pile. So I epilate my arms, I'm going to say twice a month, once a month, something like that. It depends when the hairs appear, but this purchase was pre-transition, so I'm not going to count it. Oh, I'm spraying water everywhere. So I'm not going to count it against all of my costs, but this was super cheap. This was only a few hundred watts, so I should probably upgrade it if I use these regularly. You can see I've lost the hood for it as well, which is probably not great. As for laser, as I said, I really, really like the effect laser has had. It's really reduced the shadow on my face. And if you compare my videos now to when I first started making them, this was before I did laser, I would say there's a massive difference. Even though there's still some shadow now, I'm okay with that. It's fine. I can cover most of that up with makeup. There's I get a bit of hair, a bit of stubble, there's a bit of texture on my face towards the end of the day, but it's nothing I can't deal with. It's not super visible. And how much did that cost? It cost about 1,400 watts, which is quite a lot. That was for 7 trips, 7 sessions with the laser gun firing itself into my face. But I think I would pay that again if I had to. I can't afford to, but I need to get some more sessions. And so I'm waiting to get more money so I can get some more laser done. How much have I spent on laser and waxing in total? 2,189 watts, which I'm not super proud of that, but it's not disappointing either. I'd say that's okay, that's reasonable. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about today. Now, obviously, I love clothes. I talk about clothes sometimes. I talked about clothes in my tier video. I love clothes, but do I see this as an extra cost? Now, I'm not sure, because obviously everybody needs to buy clothes. So I was thinking, well, what is the one item of clothing that I might overspend on, that I go a little bit overboard with, and I'm kind of obsessed with? Well, my tights have a drawer of their own, and the tights drawer, it's a huge mess. It's a source of, not embarrassment, but it's getting out of control, you guys. So I thought, well, how much have I actually spent on tights over the last 2 years? And I was astonished to learn I have only spent, according to my bank statement, 477 zloty, which I think is half of what I assumed I'd spend. I was surprised. I was expecting much, much more than that, because I love tights. And the reason why I think I've spent so much on tights is because for me, it's like a little kind of reward. I really love the feeling of a fresh pair of tights. There's something really pleasant about the experience of putting them on, and You know, I have a lot of worn out pairs, which I just don't enjoy reaching for. I like having different shades and styles of tights. I especially love different colors like browns and purples and blacks and grays. I have all of those different things. And so for me, like, I can quite happily go on to a couple, you know, there's Marilyn, which is one brand I quite like. And there's Calzedonia, which is the brand that I'm liking at the moment. It's going onto their website and thinking, that's quite a nice shade. I don't have that color yet. And adding it to a basket, and sometimes I'll pull the trigger, but oftentimes I won't. But I've only spent 477 swats on tights. I thought it was more than that, so that's good news. It means that I can justify going and buying some more tights this week, so that's great to hear. Okay, so that's the things that I'm going to touch on today. So how much have I spent in total? So in total, I have spent 17,381 zlotys over the course of 2 years, and that includes everything that I've talked about. And it's basically, these are the things that I would say have got me from here to here. 17,000 zlotys is a lot of money. But even so, I would say, and breaking that down, that's about 724 zlotys per month, 115 pounds, 133 euros, $158 per month. On average, I've spent on this whole transition experience, including psychologists, makeup, medications, tights, laser, manicures. It's actually pretty good value for money if you think about it. And I think given the effects that it's had on me, like physically, but more than that, psychologically, I think that represents good value for money. Like, I think about, okay, what else would I have spent, might I have spent that 17,000 zlotys on? So a holiday, all right, that's 2-3 weeks, somewhere nice. Yes, it's relaxing in that moment and I can have pleasant memories of that. But it doesn't change me as much as transitioning has over the course of 2 years. Yes, I could have got like a MacBook Pro or something like this, and I would have that, of course, over the course of many, many years. But it's just a laptop, ultimately, at the end of the day. Like, it's not going to make me sleep better or feel better about the way that I present myself or go about my life on a day-to-day basis. So I can't think of anything else that money would have been better spent on, to be honest. I think, yes, it's a lot, and I know for a lot of people that might represent too much money, and that's maybe a barrier to a lot of people to be able to go ahead and transition themselves. I mean, I am curious. Obviously, I've gone down the private route here in Poland, and I do wonder how this compares to other countries. I did see a post on Reddit where somebody was talking about getting some blood work done, just one piece of blood work done in the UK, and it cost about the same as the total of my blood work in Poland over 2 years. So I do wonder, you know, maybe this is actually pretty good value for money if you think about kind of the universality of the trans experience. And obviously I'm talking about the cost, the financial cost of all of these things. Well, I mean, the psychological cost of not transitioning would have been huge for me. And what I've lost in terms of finances and money, I've gained back millionfold in terms of my quality of life and my self-worth and all of those things. So I think I'm happy with that. Although that being said, I did spend too much money on manicures, so that's going to stop. Anyway, I hope that you found this video useful and somewhat educational. I'm curious to see what you think. Do you think I'm spending too much money on anything? Or do you agree? Do you think I could be spending more money on tights? I hope that you say yes, because I'd love to get the justification from you guys to go back to the Calzedonia website and get some more things. Obviously, I've not included everything. You know, as I say, clothes isn't there, yoga's not there, jewelry's not there, of course. But I haven't spent that much money on jewelry up to this point. Maybe I'll come back in a year's time and see if there are some new things that I spend money on. So I'll leave it there. As I say, like, I'm curious to see what you think about all of this. And I look forward to hearing your comments in the comments section below. And I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon once again. Goodbye. Take care.